Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. This is what it used to look like when we were printing it. And back in the print days, we're digital now. But I've grabbed a couple archives, an archive here. This is July 2020. Woohoo! Jessica Fumo, she's now it's Sephora, but she was with a tattoo removery company, and she graced the cover, so we thanked that. She was the manager of facilities, and this was a really good looking issue. Let's see how big this one was. This one was 140 pages, and I'll tell you, I always like holding the magazine. Let's see what I was doing. Oh, I was a alumni at University of Denver. I played hockey and lacrosse out there. Anyway, this picture was taken in Phoenix. They were ASU. They had just joined the league. They went from club to D1, and they played in this little tiny little rink, and where it was like something I played in my Pee Wee days. And anyway, but it was great, and I think they got blown out that night, and they went back and they won the next night. But it's nice holding the magazine and seeing what I was doing. I had a little more hair back then too, but that's okay. But last issue we published was August of 2021, and went 100% digital, and haven't looked back since. Don't miss the printer, don't miss the post office. Uh, on pace to do about 70 to 80 million people consuming our content on the web. It's been an amazing ride from print face to face to digital. And to all of you out there on the web that find our content, thank you so much. And nowhere in my wildest dreams at 2 years old would I think of all the things that I've done that I'd be a, content, provider. But we're in our niche, design, build, maintain in a bunch of different, construction sectors. And it's been an amazing ride. So I couldn't have done without your gold in my eyes. But I'm sitting out here. Some of you know, look, I built my house. I've now been here almost 2.5 months. And I'm still sitting out here on the deck because it's still nice down here. The humidity's kind of resided from the dog days of summer, and just beautiful here in the South. Eventually, I'm going to make my way up to my studio, but I just like doing them out here, And some people go, "Is that fake?" I'm like, "No, it's just nature behind me. Black bears, deer, coyotes, you name it, man. They're all over the place. You walk your dog, you better be packing." That's all I got to say at night. So. Uh, Today, I have a nice gentleman down in the great state of Texas. His name is Dan Helman. Hopefully, I pronounced it. You goes Dan or Daniel? Dan.
Dan Helman.
Dan Helman. There you go. And he's with a company called Think Power, and he does consultancy, project management for the utilities, which we all need. And he's seen a lot. And we were just chatting a little beforehand and reminiscing about some of the crazy things that we did in our early construction days. But uh, Dan, say hello to our listeners out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk, Dan and Big D.
Hey, everybody. It is great to be here and great to be chatting with David as well.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. The way we're going to work this is we're going to do it in three parts. You'll tell your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, kids, sports, whatever, how you ended up where you are today. Then we'll transition into lessons learned from the roller coaster that we've all been on for the last 5 years. Even though we're out of the tunnel, there's still speed bumps, potholes, bollards in the way. Everybody's got to deal with it on a daily basis. And then you'll leave your contact info and one positive thought or phrase, and we'll close it out. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Well, cool. Hey, David, thanks very much. Hey, and just by way of introduction, guys, look, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, the west side of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, a little different than Philadelphia. David, I know where you're from.
It's definitely different. It's like North Jersey and South Jersey.
That's right. It is. So grew up in a coal mining steel industry environment. And the majority of my relatives worked either in the coal industry or the steel industry.
In the plant.
So grew up there, but interestingly enough, I did my grade school in Canada. So what's really cool about having grown up in Pennsylvania, right, where you have this really, hard ethic, if you will. Parents divorced when I was young, ended up moving up to Canada. My mother remarried, so I did all of my grade school in Canada. Eventually came back when I was about 12 years old, back to Western PA, where, that's where the roots are and where I wanted to come back. Finished up, high school, always wanted to be a dentist. So here's kind of one of those things where, You can tell how life never plays out the way you thought it would. But I was going to be a dentist since age 5. Actually went to college to be a dentist. It never materialized after year 1. And the reason it never materialized is, look, at the end of the day, when you grew up in Western Pennsylvania, you don't have a lot of money. So for me, I was flipping the bill for everything related to college, housing, meals, tuition, working at McDonald's, quite frankly, putting myself through school. Couldn't afford dental school. So at the end of the day, ended up changing my major into a safety curriculum, a safety science curriculum, which is where I cut my roots. So, the reality is for me, the first part of my career, actually the first 35 years of my career, I've been in risk management. I've been doing environmental health, safety, sustainability, security, workers' compensation, but always in roles, depending upon the industry. And I've worked in construction for 12 years. I worked in the nuclear field for about 10 years, worked in manufacturing and in the power generation as well for 12 years during that period of time, always in operations in one way, shape, or form. So, having that safety slash risk background, that always working for the CEO or COO level gave me some really good insight into how these key leaders of big companies were able to, be successful, or in some cases, quite frankly, they weren't successful. And that's where, for me, as I moved into my role eventually, those were lessons learned and opportunities for me to kind of change how when I became the CEO of a company and the leader of a company, were able to do the things that we're doing right now at Think Power Solutions.
The reason why you wanted to be a dentist because you lived in Canada, and we all know that there's hockey played in Canada, and they all get their teeth knocked out. So there's probably a shortage of dentists up there. I don't know about the healthcare system, how long it's going to take you to get in there. They normally just stitch you up on the bench, but that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Get out. People always told me, Dave, you were born in the wrong country. You're a hockey lacrosse player. What are you doing in Atlanta? I don't get it. So when I grew up, I wanted to be a professional hockey player. So I got the Hockey Digest, and I wasn't a great skater when I was first put on skates. As soon as I was out of diapers, my parents put me on skis and skates. Anyway, I played mites. I sat on the bench, and I said, so I grabbed the Hockey Digest. I want to go to this camp. And we lived outside Valley Forge, outside of Philly, about 45
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, yeah, yep.
In Pottstown, it was called. Anyway, Bethlehem Steel was right next to us. Big
Yep.
old freaking plant. So Steel, I'm laughing at. I'm like, yeah, I can picture it. Western PA. So anyway, I say, I want to go to this place called the Hockey Ranch. And we had horses we had a stable and we had some locals. And anyway, I grew up with horses. So it was horse riding for 4 hours and hockey for 4 hours. And you lived on the ranch. You basically were like a
Yeah.
cowboy for a month. So I went up to Canada for every year, every summer until I went to prep school, and then I went to the local prep school camp. But had great fond memories of Mississauga. We go down to the TO, that's Toronto for all you guys that don't know. The Expo was going on, and the Argos were playing, and just have had really, really fond memories. Let's see, who was the star? Oh, his name was Gary Monahan. He played for like 6 or 7 NHL teams, but he played for the Maple Leafs then. So he was
Oh,
like
yeah.
the star. And anyway,
Well, we
that's
have something else in common then, because quite frankly, when I lived in Canada, I played hockey, I played lacrosse, and I played soccer. And when I came back to the US at the time, this was back in the 1970s, so I did all my grade school in the 1970s in Canada. I came back in 1979, or 78 actually, the year the Steelers won the Super Bowl as well. But you couldn't play hockey, you couldn't play lacrosse, you couldn't play soccer. It just was not a big thing, at least in Western Pennsylvania at the time. So I ended up having to switch those sports, right, to football, basketball, the typical US based sports.
yeah.
And, my claim to fame really is, and I think this is also part of what helped shape me, David, is as I kind of, went through my, being as I became an adult, right, a racquetball. So I played racquetball for almost 40 years of my life, which is longer than I've done anything. But during that 40 years playing racquetball, it's a sport, and you really learn how to, I'm very competitive, right? But it was a sport that really helped me just get to the next level in everything that I was doing as well.
Listen, you know how they call when you're in school, athletes, they take basket weaving classes. So I was on the 5-year plan. I did a year on the mountain in Vail. I skied in had to pass. My parents lived in Vail too, and whatever. Anyway, I took this class. I took a racquetball class in college at DU. Anyway, it's freaking tough. I had to learn all the rules, the dimensions, all that stuff. And then your final grade was they had a tournament, man, and you had to play in there. And I was on the lacrosse hockey. I mean, people, they were all gunning for me.
Yep.
And if you haven't played racquetball, I'm going to tell you right now, it's all geometry. It's just, on the fly. You don't have you better be able to calculate quick because you can end games, and if the other guy
Very fast-paced sport.
very fast pace. You have to have eye-hand coordination, but then you got that mathematical thing because it's so anyway, I used to go into racquetball gym class. Like I was going in to play Colorado College or University of Wisconsin or wherever. I mean it was crazy. But all those things that I did though, you sound like your same background. Everything that I did through my whole life I molded in who I am today. And, it just is. I've taken little bits and pieces, and I look at sports just like business. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Coach, president, VP, assistant coach, trainer, HR, whatever you want, whatever, analogies you want to do to it. I always think that whatever you do through your years, you always pick up something because it makes it who you are. And you can't go back and change the scoreboard. If you forget a score, maybe you go back and look, but it's not going to change. It'll remind you what it is, but you
Yep,
can't
yep.
change it. But you can, you got to move forward. But
You got to get better too. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing in business as your analogy is. I mean, with sports, it's the same thing. You're always looking to improve. You're always looking to grow, and it's the same thing with business. And again, I go back to my roots where hard, work hard, play hard. Which that has been kind of my mantra for the last again 40 years almost in industry as a working professional at the end of the day. So I think if you go in with that kind of an attitude, you'll ultimately, get to where you want to be, wherever that is in life, right? Whether it's financially, health, or, whatever it might be. But sports for me was really allowed me that pathway for sure.
oh yeah, you know, let's talk about utilities. So most of my listeners out there, they know what they are, but basically when you like when I built this house, all right, they had the sewer drains put in, they had the electrical box outside, even though I had to get a temporary put in, and then and once I was done, ready, or get my certificate, they make it permanent. Same thing with the gas line. Anyway, utilities are very, very important. Uh, because they're kind of like they're one of the first thing that's going to go in, whether it's a development or a freestanding build or an old build or renovation. You got to have the power, you got to have the water access, and today you got ADA in there as well. And it's just like I said, when I went through this build, I had done we had done my wife's company, we had done plenty of basements and all that stuff. But when we got outside, there's a lot of prep that you had to do once you got the land graded, where you were going to put things. And it's like the wild, wild west with the utility companies, Dan. I'm telling you, I came out, the first guy came
As
out
a consumer, as a user, that's right. Yeah.
as a user. See, I was a builder plus I was the owner. I wasn't sure if I was going to sell it or not. I don't even know. But when I was doing it, uh, it was like the Wild West. So on the side of my house, I have like maybe, I don't know, 10 feet. I had to put the AC units over there. We want to put a pool back here. So I have a pad I wired for the 220 volts. But below where the AC units are, uh, the gas meter is, and then the water line's on the other side. So when these guys came in and ran, and the electrical box is right between my two neighbors' house, right at on the edge of the cul-de-sac. So when the utilities, instead of making, I talked to the chief building official before I started my project. I told him, I said, Brandon, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to write about this every month. I won't pound on, the county, but I'm going to tell you, this permitting thing, it
It's a
took me
rigorous
4.5
process.
months to get my permit.
It's a rigorous process, right? Yes.
Well, they say 2 weeks to get your septic tank approved, and then 20 days if all your paperwork is all perfect. And I had everything right. I turned my paperwork in a month later. Oh, you need to change your address because your driveway's on the main drag and you're really in the cul-de-sac. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that before? I got to pay all these people to change everything. There's like 650 pages of blueprints. Okay.
Right.
Why didn't it took you a month to figure that out? So I had to go do all that. And then they didn't like where I had my septic tank. Then I had to move it to the back. And then I took the land down, and then no, my neighbor was running his gutter water into my yard, and we had to figure out. And I had a storm drain. I had a little easy, so I learned all this stuff with the
I have a
utility.
lot of sympathy for people like you. I mean, here's the reality. When you're in the utility industry, and look, I get it because on the receiving end of all that, right? The permitting process, the environmental concerns, all of those things that go into whether, I mean, where we run power, what's the load that we're going to carry, right? Especially when you get into residential, you've got commercial operations, we got transmission lines. You start with the power generation at the end of the day, right? Our power comes in, and the whole utility industry, David, I mean, we can't live without it, right? So it's a matter of, you start at the power generation side of the equation, and whether it's fossil, whether it's natural gas, part of fossil, whether it's nuclear, whether it's renewables, you get that power generated, then you got to transmit it to, from the power generation site and eventually get it to where you want in the residential areas, the distribution locations, right? So you can distribute that power out to all of the different homes. And in your case, all of those regulatory requirements upstream, starting with power generation through down to, the homeowner, right? Very complicated, very time consuming, and quite frankly, in our industry, in the utility industry that we work in this space, that process is sometimes a 5 to 10 to 20-year process from the time you have an idea, you plan, all the planning that goes in, the permitting, and then you get into the actual construction. And of course, you always run into woes in a construction environment, right? You know that things are never
Oh yeah, weather,
engineered.
it doesn't matter. There's something will come up. But here's getting back to so uh they have the sheet. You go there, you apply for your permit, and then you got to get your septic done first. So they say 2 weeks for your septic, and then if your paper's all good, it should be 20 days, a month. Okay. Then they made me change my address. Then they made me move my septic. Finally, Memorial Day weekend of 2024, I got my permit. That's when I put my sign up on the yard. And
Yeah.
it should have taken 2 weeks, okay, in my opinion. And Brandon, I'm not coming down on you over there. All right, I
Right.
told you I'm transparent. I'm just telling you I went through the process. There is no reason why it should take 4.5 months to get that done. Here's what I found out with the utilities: they don't talk to one another. The water department, they're all like most of them are downtown in these really nice buildings, which I don't think that, we don't need because that's what my property taxes are paying for. They're just pushing paper in there. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. And, but some of them are in this other little office park around the corner, and the septic environmental health, they call it, department. And then the water department, they're right there. They're right across the street from one another. I mean, you could hit a wiffle ball to them.
You would think they would converse a whole lot more than what they do,
You
right?
would think they would know that the other one does, but they don't. So when I finished and I had to go settle my construction loan, I went down to the county building department. And I said, look, I'm on the portal. I just want to come down here and talk to someone to make sure because I got to go deal with the lender. I want to make sure everything is. I got my certificate. I've paid everything, all my inspections. Is there anything else that I need to know? Well, your certificate hasn't come in there because it'll come in later this afternoon and this and that. And I asked her, I said, why don't you guys put everything on one portal? Okay.
Yeah.
So I can come in, I can have the subs come in if they need be to get a plan or whatever, or if they want if I'm dealing with the water department, they're waiting for a piece of paper or whatever, instead of just having you guys because it just seems like it's a cluster.
Well, you know what? One of the things, David, I think, and this isn't going to happen probably in at least by the time you're done building that home, or maybe even our lifetime. But
Well, I'm
with
done here. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I got the pool, but
But
it's
with AI technology coming down the realm, I mean, here's the nice thing about what I think AI will do in the utility industry. It will help bring together a lot of what you're talking about, particularly as a homeowner on the residential side of the equation here. All of whether it's water, gas, the electricity, all of that together at some point in time, so that it'll appear as though those different branches of the utility sector are actually conversing and talking to one another, even though they may not be, but the data will be able to be managed and pulled together so that at least at the homeowner level, you should be in a better position going forward to have good visibility and a view to what is going on, what the time frame is, what's the first step, second step, and third step, right? So in our line of work, right, we are a contractor to the utilities. So we are to some extent held hostage by that whole permitting process and their various stages of planning. But in our role at Think Power, and by the way, we use some AI technology to help us as well in the field to be very effective in working with contractors and the utility in getting, as I mentioned earlier, visibility to data that helps us work more efficient, more safely in the field with contractors. Because remember, this whole utility industry, particularly that we work in, very high hazard. It's very high risk. You've got to make decisions that are very consistent with, again, rules, procedures, and protocol. You can't, there's no workarounds here. We can't deviate. And when we do, we've got to stop work, we've got to pause, we've got to huddle and make sure that whatever we do is aligned with the client, the contractor, and the oversight role that we have. And that all takes time. To your point, what you see on the other end is just all of that work does take some time to play out.
Don't get me wrong. I think there should be some regulation. Like,
Yeah.
when the one inspector, I hired a third party inspector to do just to come on because wanted another set of eyes. It was listen. I rolled the dice to build this house. I mean, I put everything on there, and I didn't know what it was going to praise for. I thought I had a good idea, but we lucked out, and but the the whole thing with the utilities, getting back to it. So I have an electrical line, I got a water line, and I got a gas line, and I got a fiber optic line. There's four of them. You think that they would just make a code. This is what I told the guy. I said, why don't you got he goes, Mr. Corson, it's the Wild Wild West. I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, first guy out, he's going to put it in where the easiest place is. He's going to rip up your yard and he's going to leave. It's not going to look pretty. I go, really? He's not going to put it in. He goes, no. And most likely that's probably the gas guy. So, but that's what he did. The freaking first guy, he put it right down the middle. I only have 10 feet, maybe 8 feet on that side.
Right.
Okay. And then the second guy came in. So the last guy came in, if they had just coded, hey, every time that you go in, every house that's built, you got the gas line that's 30 inches down, the other one's 24, this one, you just know where they are. Even though you have to call and mark it, but that whole thing, I was like, why don't they just
Well,
deviate
it
it? Make
sounds like you're all underground too. The good news for you, I think, depending upon your location, everything's underground, right? You don't have
Yeah,
any.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was gonna put a basement in, and after I cleared the land, I mean, you can look, my fence is probably 25 feet up there. We built that little berm up, but I was gonna put a basement in for my mother. She's, in her mid 80s, upper 80s, and she's still cooking, got good genes. My sister, I said, look, I'll put the basement in. So when I was cutting the grass for the last 4 years, I didn't know, I knew there was a slope, but I didn't know it until they cleared it. And then when they cleared it, the grader's like, hey, David, man, here's the corner of your basement. I'm like, yeah, aren't you going to dig? He's like, no, man. I told you I got to bring about 150 loads of dirt, but now that I see it cleared, multiply that by three, maybe four, 400
Yeah.
loads. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah, you got a bigger problem because when I lift this house up to put your 12-foot ceilings in there of concrete, your driveway is going to be a roller coaster, and it's not going to leave much land for you to plane out.
Right.
You're not going to like it.
And you
And
know what, David? We see that all the time in the work we do. I mean, everything is designed in the office by engineers. When we get in the field, and you know this, you've been in construction for a long time, right? Just like your house, it's never what it appears to be in the field, and that actually for us results in a lot of change orders because we have to. Nothing is what it looks like either aerially from an aerial perspective or what the design and engineering drawings are showing. We get in the field, it's like holy shit, what are we going to do now, right? So that's where we got to take that time to go back and kind of get true alignment with everyone involved there, kind of like what you did with the contractor there, because you just can't plow through it.
well, I'll tell you, the grader, he was awesome because he goes, hey, look, I know your wife designed this house. Just call her and tell her to come up here. So I called. Well, I'm like, Chris, we got a Houston. We got a problem. You got to get up here, man. I got to make a decision. So she comes up and I go, here's the deal. We raised the house. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look like we built. It's not what we wanted. It was an empty house. Now, I'll just call my mom and say, we're getting rid of it. We could build a whole other house. What's going to cost us to put that in? Just the dirt alone is ridiculous, you know? And so I had the garage in the back and the master in the back and the garage in the front. So I rotated them. So then I put a whole circular garage. It worked out great, but we made the decision. And then, but to get that done took another month because I had to
Right.
go get the plan redone. Even though I didn't change anything else, All I did was move the garage from the front to the back. And it took a month for me to get it. And then it rained for 2 weeks. Couldn't get any dirt for them to finish up the prep that they were doing. And
Right.
I really started in August, but and then to top it off, the hurricane that came through and hit Western Carolina, Helene, it hit my house, and not I just got my framing package delivered. I had gotten the front of my house put in, and Helene came in that night and blew the freaking thing down. I went back there with
Well,
a bunch of pixie sticks.
hey, you bring up a good point though. One of the things we see in the utility industry specifically, right? And again, we're in the telecom and the electric gasification world of power generation, but on the transmission and distribution side, when you get hurricanes like that, severe weather of any sort, and all of those telephone poles and the whole system goes down. I mean, that's work for us from a good news perspective, right? But it's really, really bad news for the end users of the electricity, the homeowners and everybody, right? So with Helene in particular, that created a ton of work in the Carolinas. The restoration work that those type of events create is enormous. I mean, it
Oh yeah.
sometimes takes down whole systems for communities, and that's where the utilities have to get out there in a very quick manner, right? You don't want people without power. You don't want to be without power. And that, by the way, is for us the most dangerous and high risk time of the year and the type of work we do because you're bringing together a lot of people from different companies that never worked together before to get
Yeah.
power up as soon as you can, right? And our company in particular, we're overseeing those contractors, making sure they're in alignment with what the utility expectations and rules are, right? Very high risk work during those periods of time. So I get it. You went through some pain and suffering there, but
Oh, to
the
me, I was shocked at the wind actually because I didn't have any. I just had the frame up. I didn't have the wood in there, and so I took a snapshot. I texted my contractor. I was like, "Hey, Manuel, man, the whole front of the house blown down, man." He's like, "Send me a text." Send picture. He goes, half a day, no big deal. Is the concrete cracked? I'm like, no. He goes, don't worry about it, man. No big deal. I've seen much worse.
right.
And
As you get power. Power is where the power rules, right? Energy
yeah,
rules.
no, and so the yeah, but the whole thing with the lines, I just because he goes, look, when I talk to the official, he's like, look, I don't write the code, I'm just a messenger, and I said,
Right.
here's the messenger, and he goes, I love guys like you do it yourself, you're learning. I'm like, yeah, so I took like almost 100 videos of everything just because I wanted to know what slurry was with the concrete. She had once the house was dry. We already had HVAC and flooring and cabinetry. The only people I had to hire was a grader, a framer, a roofer, concrete guy. I think we had insulation, but we had everybody else. So it wasn't like, but those are big nuts. Oh my God, the concrete package was huge. Once I cut the basement out, it wasn't that bad, but still, it was. But the biggest thing was when with the gutter. So I told my neighbor, I said, look, I got an easement in the front. I'm going to, and that's where the two water lines was. So I controlled the water for the cul-de-sac plus all the way down. I had those two Washington monuments in my front yard. And so,
You
but I had an
know,
easement
people,
and
most people only build a house one time, right? And that's the reason why. It's a lot of work. When you project manage your own build, that is a lot of work, right?
my wife and I have been married for 30 years. We're still married, man. We didn't get divorced. And I told her, I said, after I did it, I said, look, I'd like to do 2 spec homes a year, and you can do the rest of your foo-foo, 8, 10 projects. I'm a happy camper, man. And I'll go be your PM, and I'll go check your other ones, but I'll deal with the house. You'll deal with it. And, uh, there was
Good
another
for you.
lot that was in here that I could kick myself for not buying because I could have built both homes at the same. I wouldn't have kept that. I would have kept this one, and they come with a dock. The lake's right behind me. And anyway, I could have built both houses, and I could have comboed the lumber packages and the doors and everything.
And probably even the utility piece too. You could have at least saved a whole lot in terms of the all the work going into the
Yeah.
utility, whether it's water, electricity, plumbing, telecom, right?
Oh yeah. But like I said, I got some good contacts out of all the utility guys. They were all professional, and but like I said, getting back to the third party, I
Yep.
hired them, and it happened when I was pouring the concrete. My concrete guy goes, "Hey David, it's Matt. I'm pouring your footings and your retaining walls in the morning." I said, "Matt, you can't come out here, man. The county hasn't freaking inspected the concrete." He goes, "Oh no, I got a third party inspector." I'm like, "Dude, I went through all the permitting. No one told me about third party." What are you talking about? I know what third
Right.
party is. No one told me that. Oh, they don't tell you because you pay for it in your permit. They want to do it. We'll make sure that they're still important. And I said, okay. I go, how do you prove it? He goes, just call up there and they'll tell you I'm on the list, which I did. So I go, okay, cool. So they poured it. So I met the third party inspector. I said, Russell, he's an engineer. And I said, hey, do you do third party for any of the other ones? HVAC, lighting, framing? He goes, oh, no, I do it all. I'm like, you're hired. I want you to come in because I don't want to deal with the county.
Those are
I
the
want to
guys you
deal with the
sometimes got
county.
to be a little wary of too, right? If they do it all.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You don't have any, I didn't learn this. You don't have any recourse with the county because if they come in and you don't have that third party inspector, uh, if you just do it yourself and the county comes and go, oh man, that framing's awful. You're gonna have to rip all this down or whatever. He's liable if you have the third party inspector to come in and
Okay, yeah, yeah,
he's
right,
got some liability involved in it. And I just liked having another because I had never done concrete. I don't, but people said my concrete, I picked a great vendor. You pick the right people to do the right things and pay them no nickel and dime them. Oh my God. My wife's like, hey, we have 27 interior doors. Are you going to hang those? I'm like, hell no. I'm going to put the hardware in, but I'm going to hire two guys that do them every day and they'll be
right.
like air. I'm not doing that stuff.
Yeah, I've got to throw this in there. One of the things we're challenged with, talk about hiring the right guys, right? In the utility industry specifically, David, I mean, this is a business where trying to get the best of the best, it's very slim pickings, right? Because we're all after the best of the best people, to your point. And half the time, the utilities have those folks, right? So in our line of work and the type of stuff we do, we end up hiring a lot of retirees, folks that have been journeyman linemen all their life, been up and down telephone poles all their life, because they know the ins and outs. They do inspections for us, and they are really good hires. So we are actually hiring from a group of people who are former utility workers for the most part and retirees because of the experience they have. It's just tough to find good people.
So when I had the gas line put in at, temp to perm, they had to come out with the big wrench and, $300 for about 10 minutes work. And no big deal. I got it. Anyway, this guy came out and uh, the guy from the utility, and he says, hey, yeah, this little, you should have your plumber come out here, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, cool. And so I got his card and he told me about it. Oh, my dad was there for 25 years. He just went out and he's doing gas lines and HVAC and he started his own company. So I had him come out and have him, inspect, the gig before, the inspector came out. And that's exact. And so his son wasn't sure if he was going to take the business. So I was at Home Depot a couple of weeks ago with my kid, and I saw this guy in his truck. I'm like, where do I know that guy? Oh man, that's the gas lines kid. So I knocked on his door, and I'm like, hey, roll down. Hey, you were at my house doing. Oh yeah, Hickory Lakes. I go. Business good. He goes, oh yeah, man, I'm quitting. I'm going. I'm working with my dad, man. Things just going bonkers.
Right, right.
And so there you go. It's just it's the nature of the beast. Utilities, listen, you can't do anything without the utilities put in. And like our HOA, they handle the stormwater drains, but even though the utilities already put them in, so those monuments,
Yep.
they're ugly. All right. So I had the water engineer come out, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Corson, man, I got to leave those up." I'm like, "They're eyesores, man. They're ugly." And
Right.
he goes, listen, I'll make some. You got to put three rocks in here, right? Boulders, 600 pound boulders. I'm like, yeah. He goes, do me a favor, put one on either side of here, and I'll come out and cut it down. But listen, when I come out here at 3 o'clock in the morning and there's a major water leak, I got to be able to find these things. That's why we paint them white, and that's why they're ugly. And you're there. You just listen. If anybody pisses you off, you just tell them in this neighborhood you control their water. Okay,
There
in
you
the
go.
cul-de-sac and everybody down upstream, because the other guy has the other, but you control it. You're the king, man. It's on your property. So I was like, all right, I'll go, you know what? They're not that bad. We'll dunter up. So, but he helped me out though, because the HOA was on me. They're like, you didn't finish your architecture planning with the bushes. I'm like, no, the utility's going to come out here. And if they're ever going to do it, they're just going to come up and rip it up and leave. And it says right on the box, 10 feet. Don't put anything in here. We want to be able to get in here and look at stuff.
That's
So
right. You need it right away. I mean, hey, lessons learned, man. I mean, that's why I never built a house. One, I always buy a house, right? It's already done. All that work that you're talking about has been done for me, so I don't have to go through that whole process, right? Uh, and secondly, I don't have to deal with the headaches downstream of that either with an HOA. So I've lived in the HOA world a couple of times, and that also has created headaches from a utility perspective, from fencing, security, all those things as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did the fence myself. I hired a little 16-year-old kid with me. I got a two-man auger. I dug 39 posts in about an hour and a half. Then I had to put the concrete in and then do all the panel and then let it sit for a month and then go out and do the chicken wire and paint. And
Been there, done that. I know what you're talking about. I've done the
I had
augering.
never done a whole fence. I had done doors, I had done just replacements, but I had never done it, and it's pretty straight. Everybody's like, "Hey man, David, pretty good job." I'm like, "Hey man, believe me, I've done plenty of construction, man. I just haven't done it in a while." So, but it was
Yeah.
fun doing the fence. And but what's the coolest project you ever worked on?
In my power generation days, we actually built power plants. I mean, when you go from a green field, just dirt, like you were talking about with your house, and then you have a finished product, which is a power plant, an operating power plant. Those are really cool things that early on in my career. Fast forward 15 years to where I am today. We are working on with the AI, with data centers that are coming in everywhere, right?
Oh
They
yeah.
are just enormous. So when we get on projects like that, where whether it's substations or we're just getting the power from the transmission lines to the substations to the data centers, that's pretty cool stuff. We're working with, 3, 4, 5,000 contractors on one particular project. So, most recently in the last 2.5 years, those are really cool projects. The other thing that I've seen, at least in the role that I have with Think Power Solutions, I get out in the field a lot. We work over some really rough terrain. You can't get a vehicle up over the mountains in West Virginia, Kentucky, and Virginia, right? So we're in four-wheelers, we're in ATVs, just getting up to where the work is being done, right? I mean, these guys spend half a day getting up to the site where the work's being done, and the other half a day getting down. These are 14, 16-hour days for the contractors and our guys. So that's pretty cool when you're working out in very desolate, isolated places. I mean, the hazards out there are the environment and animals that create a lot of headaches for you. And they're hazards you don't normally think of when you're in a manufacturing environment or in a city where you're running power, to residential areas. So those are pretty cool projects.
Yeah, I didn't realize the utility guys like the linemen. I know linemen have a, serious job, but I did a reception, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago up in Kenton, Ohio at the Davy Seed Farm. And they had a training area where they taught linemen how to go up with their gear and if had to go up the pole and they had this big scaffolding thing. It was amazing, man. And I have a total more of appreciation, linemen. Listen, I know when hurricanes and storms come in, those guys got to get stuff done because people freak out when they don't have power. But
Right.
but it's a whole different ball game when you're out there in the middle of nowhere and no one can help you, and you got to know what the heck you're doing. And
That's right. And
uh,
that's why we hire some of the best people out there because, doing that type of work, again, sometimes you're like the lone wolf out in the field. I mean, there's the next guy is down the transmission line another half mile down the road, right?
yeah, he's not going to hear you. Hey, I fell and I fall and I can't get up. No,
That's And we have a lot of technologies out there that allow for when you go horizontal. We have a lot of, safety devices that people can wear. But nevertheless, you're right. It's going to take a little while before somebody can get there to respond, regardless
yeah.
if you have an
So I
incident.
presume during the roller coaster over the last 5 years, all your projects were deemed essential. So they all just kept on going on, right? You guys just did your PPP and kept contractors were like first line of everybody had to get on the plane with their mask and go, hey, I got to finish the project, man.
Right.
Depending on what state you were in.
The nice thing about the utility industry, it's not very cyclical. I mean, look, we're growing, new homes coming up, data centers coming up. The utility industry is, I say it's not cyclical, but it goes from transmission to distribution in terms of the workload,
Yeah.
and you've got repairs and renovations. But the bottom line there, it's a great industry to be in. It's very consistent. It's a career-long type of industry for a lot of people. High risk, high hazard. But at the end of the day, people are paid very well. And we go out of our way to make sure that, because we got to get power to people, that the industry is going to thrive and survive.
So everybody out there in commercial construction talk, coffee talk, if you're thinking about doing a development or a redevelopment or mixed use or whatever, and you got to deal with some utilities, uh, how would someone reach out to you, Dan, to bump some questions off you, or maybe they work together on a project you know about? Hey, man, you did this Friday? Yeah, that was awesome. How would someone reach out to you?
Yeah, no, hey, thanks, David. So, hey, my email is Daniel. dot Helman, Helman, at thinkpowersolutions.com, all one word, Think Power Solutions. And, my phone number, cell phone, you
Sure.
can reach out 817-751-0558, or you go to thinkpowersolutions.com, which is our website, and you can look at all of our service capabilities and the types of work that we do and the clients that we've worked with. And yeah, if you have an interest, feel free to reach out.
Are you on LinkedIn too?
We are. I am on LinkedIn, right?
All right, listen, everybody, I'll put all that stuff in the description when I'm editing the stuff. I'll put it all in there in some subtitles so you'll see it in two different places. You'll get it, but I'll put all that in there.
Perfect.
Uh, and listen, if you're doing a project or you never done a utility gig or whatever, hey, listen, go to YouTube. Find out a lot of stuff before you talk to these guys. So, I asked more questions. I took more videos and stuff, man. And now I consider I'll tell you, I got an A+ for one of my builders. The guy pulled my permits for me. And he's like, Dave, first build, man, this is unbelievable what you did. And I was like, I'm telling you, man, if you hire the right people, you can do anything. And, it's funny when March 2020 came,
Yeah.
the first thing I did with my kid, I said, look, man, I don't know how long this thing's going to last, but we're going to redo the deck right now because I know lumber's going to go up. Everybody in the mother's going to be doing stuff. And so I did the deck. If I would have done that deck like 3 months later, it would have been like 80% more. I mean,
Right.
it was unbelievable what a 2x4 or stain or any of that stuff. And my kid was like, Dad, why aren't you a contractor? I'm like, Brody, man, I've done a lot of building. I still have my erector set. But I could be one if I wanted to. Mom's a contractor. I'm a contractor. Listen, I'm a builder. I used to build it with paper and ink. Now I just do it digitally. It's a heck of a lot more fun. But uh, no, building, I love it. I can sit there and I couldn't fish or hit golf balls every day. I got to be busy, man. I got to be doing something, man. It's just not in my DNA. So I just said to my wife, I'm like, hey, a couple homes and let's do some basements and man caves and have some fun and we'll rock and roll. So listen,
Well,
if
Mark,
anybody wants
I
to
think
reach
that's
me,
great.
I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. Dan got on here because I got a press release from his publicist. That's how he got on here. And I saw utility. I was like, ooh, I just built something. Ooh, this will be good. We have something in common. So don't judge a book by its cover. Send it to me. It could be an anniversary. It could be a new product announcement. It could be a personal announcement. It could be a charity golf tournament you're sponsoring. It could be anything. Send it to me. Very tough to get in the magazine, but I got a lot of other platforms. Hey, you might even end up on the podcast here too. And our turnaround time to post stuff, oh, shoot, 24, 48 hours. So everything's Google indexed, formatted, meta tagged, everything you need. It's win-win. You share it, and it helps both of our SEO, which is your search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you, or people find you on the website. So, um, in any event, send it to me. We'll find a place for it. I like looking at all. I'm data addicted. I've never had a data center on my cover, and I know how much land and power they need to drive one of those things. And one of my buds, he's a farmer, and he just sold his farm to a data company, and it's right along the river. It's got to be near water. And he told me, he goes, Dave, you can't imagine how much money this thing's going to cost. But it's going to be massive, man. It's going to be like the Wizard of Oz. You're going to be driving down the road, and all of a sudden, boom, this freaking data center is going to be there. But everybody, they're all buying all this land in Georgia. It's crazy. And I would love to, if you have a good data company, I'd love to put the data company on my cover because I'd love to, it's a commercial building as far as I'm concerned. And I never had one on the cover and would love to have it because everybody's into data. AI is just driving everything. And it's an amazing time to be alive in construction, just in general. There's so much stuff going on in the world today. Uh, you don't have to read history books. They all need to be written anyway. You want the truth? Hey, just live life today. There's so much going on and construction. You won't even recognize what a restaurant looks like probably in 5 years. It'll have food in it, but it's going to be ADA. It's going to be amazing. And is I'm waiting for the interest rates to come down, and then it's going to explode. It is going to explode. I mean, uh, anyway, Dan. If there was one final positive thought or word that you'd like to leave with our listeners out there, what would it be before we close this episode out?
Yeah, I think, I'm just going to speak to the utility industry at the end of the day. Look,
Yeah.
and this is for all you guys, people that might just be looking for a career. The utility industry is where it's at. If you want something that's going to be a lifelong opportunity, good pay, look into the utility industry. There is a ton of jobs out there, depending upon what you're interested in doing. Take a look at it.
Yeah. Hey, my son did the skilled trades thing. I told him to be a plumber. I said, everybody needs water. Okay. You got to cook with it. You got to shower with it. You got to eat with it. 95% of your body's water. Be a plumber. We'll find someone that doesn't have a kid, been around, you be apprentice, you take his company over, you'll be a millionaire, you know? But he wanted to turn wrenches and fly. So I was like,
Trades
hey,
are where it's at, man. That's right. I agree with you.
yeah, no. So, hey, when the storm comes and it leaves, I still got power, man. I am a happy camper, man. But the utility guys, I have after seeing everything that they had to do, I have total respect, much more respect than I did, and I'm not ashamed to say that either. And like I said, people that are qualified and they know what they're doing, man, it makes you as a builder, it makes it so much easier. And same thing with the magazine. I got a great artist. I don't have to look over them. They know we've been together so long. It's like oh, I was working on that 2 months ago. What are we going, where are we going now? So, well, Dan, this has been awesome. I'd love to go out and see a data center or whatever. If I come down to Big D, you show me around.
You got it, man. You don't have to look too far though. They're coming up everywhere,
Oh
including.
no, look, listen, I'm gonna take them out. If I come down there, you got probably I want to go out and see it, man. Screw
Just
it.
get your car and
Lunch,
drive
I'll
around.
bring lunch. I want to go see the dirt, man. I'll bring my boots with me. So,
You
uh,
got it.
uh, any last words before we sign off?
No, no. Hey, I just want to say, David, thanks for the opportunity. It's a great conversation. I mean, the whole concept of you're building a house and how that ties into the type of work that we do is pretty cool to see, particularly from an end user and a customer perspective. So I wish you the best as you do more builds going forward. They will get easier and easier, but just understand that all that upstream permitting, the planning, and so forth, it actually is necessary. I know it's frustrating though.
Yeah. The only thing that I want them to do is I told the last guy that did my walkthrough, I had two items that I needed to get done. I needed a water hammer, which is like this little go between the dishwasher line and the sink line. And then he's walking around. His name is Hubbard. Good old boy. He probably been there forever. He's going to retire probably soon. Anyway, he goes, "Oh, Mr. Gorse, I got to pull down that attic ladder." I'm like, "Hubbard, you walk into the attic up on the second floor if you want to, man." He goes, "No, I gotta go check this one." Pulls it down, walks up, comes like, "Oh, you need some weather stripping up here. You don't want that cold air getting out of there, or whatever." And he goes, "You need to put some insulation on the door, and I'll be okay." So he puts that. I go, "That's it." He goes, "Mr. Course, this is A plus house. I'll be here in the morning. Remember to pay your $25 because I got to come back again. I warned you about that. You don't pass, you get $25." So, uh, anyway, comes back in the morning, opens up under the sink. 30. He goes, "Yeah, get it at Lowe's? Yeah, 1503 with tax." Okay. Pulls the, "Oh, good. You're good." I go, "That's it? That's the inspection?" He goes, "Nothing wrong with this house, man. I've seen everything all along the way. And you and I know each other. I will see you on your next build. You have a good day, sir. Bye." And that was it.
Relationships, relationships.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I met everybody, man. I never had a septic tank. Put a 15 freaking gallon tank right behind me, leach lines. Anyway, the septic guy comes out from the health department, and the other guy goes, "Oh, how long is this going to take?" He goes, "Oh, I bet you it doesn't even take a minute." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Oh, no, a minute. I'm just going to undo this thing for him already. He's going to ask me to hit the alarm and whatever, and he's going to say done." So this guy, Jeremy, comes up. "Hey, Mr. Course, how you doing? I heard you're doing your know how. Yeah, where's the tank?" "Okay. Okay, dude, you know what to do." "You're good. See you later." That was it. I was laughing. I was like, "Oh my God. This is what he goes, hey, listen, you hire the right people. I know everybody's doing all this stuff. I looked at the permit, who was on doing your electrical, who was doing the plumbing, who was doing the concrete, all those guys doing. We know who does stuff in here. If you do a local build, get local guys. They know who everybody is. It makes it go so much more smoother. That's the best advice that I could give to you. And do your homework. Go watch YouTube, man. You can find out so much stuff. Be a pain in the ass. It's your money. And ask questions. God. I just wanted
Good
to learn
advice,
so
man.
much.
Good advice. Good
Yeah,
advice.
I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And the day you stop learning is the day you should go do something else. So, and everybody told me not to build a house. Everybody told me not to quit Nielsen and go on my own. Here I am, almost 30 years later, standing, 25. Here I am at the house. I built it. No, we built it. My wife designed it. She bought the land. I did some stuff, but it was really, man, my wife, man, she treats her subs great. She feeds them, she pays them, she has fun with them. They got people tugging at her. But when she's got a job, chop chop, you better get it done, man, because she'll swing the sledgehammer if she has to, man. I'm telling you, man.
Hire good people, treat them well, you'll get a good result.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Dan, say goodbye from Big D.
Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks from Dallas.
All right,
Appreciate
and
it.
I'm going to sign up from Lake Lanier, about 35, 40 miles, depending on where you're at from downtown ATL. Have a great rest of the week. And I think summer's over, so we're in the fall season. So that's great. And humidity's down. So look, you got 3 months left, Q4, pedal to the metal, finish strong with momentum. And hey, it's going to be here before you know it. And then go into 2026, with a positive thought and clear mind and rock roll. And like I said, it is the golden age, and when it's an amazing time to be alive, especially in construction, utilities. Oh my God, there's so much going on, mega projects. It's going to be killer when those rates come down. So everybody, have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Dan, look forward to seeing Big D, all right?
You got it.
Cheers, everybody. See ya.